Yo, what's up y'all, Punkacid here. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome to another, you could say another podcast discussion within the community itself if it comes to the Elden Ring itself. So now the Elden Ring is out almost a year now, since February 2022, and we've been having a blast in just exploring this game. For me personally, me speaking today, I'm still playing the game. And recently we did another challenge within the channel itself, where we played the full game from start to finish with the Witch Claws and beating all the bosses this game has to offer. I can solidified say I'm a proper and hardcore Souls gamer, and I love the franchise more than anything in the world. Like the most of us, we are also wondering what is the future of the Elden Ring is going on. Do we actually going to get another DLC? Or is just going to be another phase like a Demon Souls remake, or Demon Souls just in generally? We're going to have one IP, and that's going to be the ground layer for the future of a new franchise. Let's be honest, Demon Souls remake, even though it was an excellent game, and it marks the beginning of a brand new franchise and the beginning of a brand new generation of games, we never truly got anything else beyond that. Demon Souls remake right now was the very first game and idea and perspective. We thought maybe we're finally gonna have the continuation of the gate number 8. What is beyond all of that? But even in November 12th, 2022, that is 2 years from now, we still haven't received any form of DLC whatsoever if it comes to the Demon Souls remake, for example. None whatsoever. Then if you look then in the past months and the past years how the trench of the Souls game actually works. From Dark Souls 1 came out in September 22 and 2011. And his first DLC came out the 24th of August 2012. It's 11 months past the very first release of Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 2 came out on March 11, 2014, and the first DLC came 3 months and 1 week exactly in July 2014, the 22 of it. Dark Souls 3, are my favorite of course of the Soulsborne game, came out in March 24, 2016, and his very first DLC came out 7 months afterwards, at 21 October 2016. Bloodborne itself, a mastercraft of a game, absolutely stunning, beautiful game. If you haven't played it yet and you love the Elden Ring and you play the Demon Souls remake, I 100% recommend you to go and check Bloodborne itself. It came out the 24th March 2015, and his very first DLC was being released the 23rd November 2015. That's 8 months after, for such a masterpiece of a game itself. Secure itself, and standalone IP. A lot of people within the community say that Secure is not really a Souls game, but it is still from software game, and it's a little bit different, and the story is different. It's not really connected and in a very unique way with the other Souls game, but it came out the 20th March of 2019, and the very first DLC we received was in October 29, 2020, 19 months after the very first released. So if I take the time span of Secure itself, and I'll take the Dark Souls 1, I will see between 11 and the 19 months there. If we follow the trajectory of software itself, we should have supposedly have the next DLC coming in February, between February 25th and April 25th of 2023. This was supposed to be the time that we supposed to have a new DLC. But me speaking with you guys for the very first time, we have no idea, no clue whatsoever from any resources or sources just generally when the next Souls game is going to come out. And that's what I'm trying to discuss here, and where we are standing as a community here today. What is the future of the Elden Ring itself? Because as we know, since the release of Elden Ring in February 22 from From Software, it has been killing it and ranking up 60 million sales in its beautiful game. Therefore, there's no surprise that it tarnished. We as a gamer, we want more of out of this game. So in DLC and form of marketing aspects should be coming, because we want more and we want to re-adventure in the lands between. For gamers like myself, doesn't matter if the DLC is here or not, I'm always continue replaying this game because I love this franchise so much. So we are going to discuss, for those who are just not, let's say, a casual gamer, but on that form of fanatic like ourselves itself, a form of financial standpoint and ideas perspective itself, it should make sense that we should have another DLC if it comes to the Elden Ring itself, because it was a massive commercial success than the Elden Ring. So it makes a lot of sense if we should have a new DLC coming. But the question is, of course, when is it going to come out and what it's going to be? Before we can talk about any single thing out there, before we can dissect the theory what the next Souls game might be and where we should be going itself, what I think personally, let's think about the sales of the game, from the Demon Souls, the Dark Souls series, Sekiro, and all the way, of course, to the Bloodborne and eventually to the Elden Ring. Every single Souls game is differently, and every single entry into the game paved the way to a whole new generation of games itself. From the original Dark Souls series and Demon Souls, who paved their way towards the game genres that we love and know today as the Souls-like genre. These games has been praised, of course, from the lore mechanic, the haunting vistas, all the way to the amazing, horrific, brutal battles, and most importantly, the high level of standards of difficulty you have in these games. These Souls games, as we know, they are brutal gameplay where players most often we like to die, but at the same time we have a progress system that actually works. Everything fits together, and there's millions of us actually that plays this game towards the entire planet, from all continents, from all walks of life. From games that inspired borderline Souls-like games like Sekiro, Dare to Die Twice, and Bloodborne, and now the beautiful, astonishing Elden Ring itself. But every single entry is, of course, differently. If you watch for the very first entry of the game itself, Demon Souls. Demon Souls, when it very first came out in Japan, was an exclusive PlayStation 3 game in February 2009. It had a rather slow sales and a negative reception due to the high level of difficulty. A lot of gamers itself just couldn't pass the very first boss itself. But the Demon Souls paved the way towards marking them one of the most astonishing boss battles, from King Alans all the way to the Fire Lurker itself. And by 2011, when it had been shipped to the Western community itself, Demon Souls managed to sell 1 million copies worldwide. It's a strong sale for convincing for Sony itself. The sale of Demon Souls paved the way, making the entries of the Dark Souls series itself. Dark Souls 1 sold 2.3 million copies worldwide, and paved the way to the brand new franchise, the Souls-like franchise that we love so much. And of course, the Dark Souls series is playable on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, PC, and every franchise and platform since October 2018 itself. All the way to, of course, towards the Dark Souls remaster that has been sold around 130,000 copies, physical and digital, on the PlayStation 4. Dark Souls 2, on the other hand, it sold more than 2.5 million copies worldwide, and all platforms equally towards the first year edition and an updated version of the Scholar of the Sin itself that was released in April 2015, which sold an average copies of 600,000 copies worldwide across all platforms in the very first month. In June 2015, both Dark Souls 1 and 2 were confirmed to have collectively sold 8.5 million copies across the world on all supporting platforms. Dark Souls 3 was the conclusion actually of the Dark Souls series and trilogy itself. It was released in Japan in March 2016 and in the West a couple of weeks later for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and the PC itself. Dark Souls 3 sold over 3 million copies in the very first month alone. By May 2020, the game has sold over more than 10 million copies across all platforms. The game was later updated Dark Souls 3 the 5 Fates in April 2017, which included all the post-release expansions and sales of which remaining and all to this day a little bit unknown. By May 2020, Dark Souls franchise have sold across the world and all platforms more than 27 million sales from digital and physical copies across all platforms. Bloodborne, for example, for itself, it was released actually and sampled in 2015. In March 2015 has sold over 1 million copies in the first month and 2 million copies by September 2015 itself. You can see that there is an amazing trend if it comes to the Soulsborne game. 27 million copies has been sold only solely on Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro and all those franchises itself. Sekiro has sold off more than 1.4 million copies, and same thing goes to Demon Souls remake itself. Now if it comes to the Elden Ring itself, me speaking right now. Now if it comes to the Elden Ring itself, by August 18, 2022, the Elden Ring has surpassed 16.6 million copies worldwide. If we put that into comparisons towards the entire Souls game franchise, I'm talking about Demon Souls, Dark Souls franchises, Sekiro, Bloodborne and every single IP that came before, that sold collectively 27 million. Elden Ring by itself sold 16.6 million copies on loan itself. That's absolutely insane. So for a game at this magnitude, with such high numbers of sales, not having a DLC, that's truly unlikely. But what can we expect now if it comes to DLCs itself? What is the most likely thing that, if you just think about it, that must have or must come, and just in general in form of futures as well, if you're a Souls gamer? Now with the recent update with 107 that came along this year, we saw an massive change if it comes to the quality of life of the game, the stability of the game, and most importantly how the PvP system works. We've seen a lot of patches that bring forward to the idea and its perspective that we might have a PvP oriented DLC coming out very soon. With the Colosseum within the Elden Ring itself, you can see that it is a zone and a space that is intended to have combat. That's what it's a Colosseum for. So for me personally, and of course the community itself, a PvP oriented DLC is definitely something that it should put and implement into the game itself. Not only a simple combat system where you have an overall battle royale in the Colosseum itself, where you can interact and enjoy different type of game itself, but I'll go a little bit further than that. During the Demon Souls remake and even the Dark Souls itself, we had a PvP mode installed within the game itself. We had something that's called a player boss battles. Now I do think personally, I absolutely would love to have a new mechanic, a new system into the game, where a place you are fighting in an NPC oriented boss, that you're actually fighting a PvP player as a form of a boss. This will implement a new mode into the game. This will implement a new player difficulty for players to enjoy, because this automatically will mix the PvP players and the PvE players together. If you want to move forward into the game itself, like we have the Demon Souls and the Demon Souls remake, the Old Monk, when you very first trying to pass that zone, is actually a PvP player you had to fight. By winning the fight, of course, you get a different form of rewards that is beneficial for your build and of course your advancement into the game itself. So a PvP oriented mechanics that is based on the player experience itself, where you're actually fighting a player in a place of a PvP oriented bosses fight, that would be an amazing feature that we bring back to the Elden Ring itself. What we do know right now, in the different form of patches that have been released, we've seen different form of keynotes that is already implemented, like begin match, you win, draw, you lose. That's already suggesting that a PvP oriented build and DLC is definitely around the corner. That is, they are definitely cooking up something that is really gonna embrace the aspect of PvP towards the Elden Ring community. But that's not only the only thing that a lot of players and in the community itself are wondering themselves if it comes to the future of the Elden Ring itself. There's another thing that is a bit of a mystery within the Elden Ring, is the mysteries of the clouds between the divine towers. There's one that many players have noticed. If you discover an Elden Ring divine tower locations, you notice that they cover and perfectly around a center point, not the earth tree as you might expect of course, but a section in an inaccessible ocean in the middle of a very large map and covered up by an obscured cloud. Seems suspicious. Maybe we will see another island there, another place that we can adventure forward into a new DLC. Another thing that a lot of gamers, a lot of players are also wondering themselves is Miquella's egg. Despite never seeing him properly, Miquella is probably one of the most interesting characters that they speak about quite often into the Elden Ring and the Elden Ring lore. He is Millennia's demigod's brother and supposed to be the most fearsome of all the Inferium, who cursed the eternal child and turned the curse at himself before being abducted by Mark, Lord of the Blood. Miquella is now a permanent slumber, and you can actually find him in Mark's boss fight arena inside of an egg. You can see like an arm and a cocoon inside of it. By hitting the arm, you can actually see that the arm is moving. So they suggest actually that Miquella is in the form of a sleeping phase, that we're probably gonna need to do something to wake Miquella up. And then, who knows, another boss fight or just a new storyline that opens himself. Or even we're gonna go towards the idea and perspective I saw recently on Reddit and of course on Discord as well. A lot of players suggested that we might have something like the painting of Ariandel, where you in one way or another are entering in the dream world of Miquella itself. And you see the past events that led towards his demise. That you actually playing that aspect until you see how the great Elden Ring actually has been shattered. What led it towards it? And you will be playing the aspect in the form of a dreaming world. So they give you, the players, a little bit more of a background lore for those who still have a difficulty to understand what's the lore of the Elden Ring is. And push the story narrative a little bit further than that. The other thing that a lot of gamers also have been wondering is the shadowing of the Night of the Black Knives. The two different events were very much linked to the Night of Black Knife. Was the night where a bunch of assassins snuck through the lands between and killed a bunch of demigods, including Marika's son Godwin. That is the turn and start of the domino effect that led, of course, the shadowing, the grand war between all the surviving demigods over the rule of the Elden Ring and the lands between, which began the battles of the legendary battle between Millennia and General Radahn, and a conflict so epic that it truly shattered Caelid in the form of a blight hellscape. And these events actually is the focal points towards the Elden Ring story trailer and just an Elden Ring exploration and overall lore of the game itself. A lot of gamers are wondering if we're gonna have a DLC that's specifically orientated towards the Knights of the Black Knives events. Something a little bit differently, and of course what I just mentioned when it comes to Miquella and Miquella's egg. Maybe something they can put together in towards it, where the events of Miquella actually will explain the Knights of the Black Knives event generally. Another alternative that's been into the mindset of a lot of gamers is the Greater Will and the Rise of Marika. Alternatively, you might go even further back to the formation of the lands between generally, where Marika appears from the realm of Nunum, gets chosen by the deity, who is known as the Greater Will, forms the lands between along with her consort Godfrey, weighing with the giants, dragons, sorcerers alike to expand the Greater Whale's territory, as it will be a chance to explore a younger, newer version of the Lands Between, and to engage with the essential characters like Marika, Godfrey, Radagon, Godwin, and major characters in the lore who only showed up briefly in the core game itself. Of course, all this speculation looking at the obvious potential holes to fill in the Elden Ring, making an educated guess based on the software history and of course the comments made by the creators itself. We'll be sure personally to update you if I know for 100% where the future of the Elden Ring might go. But these are the ideas that is of course lingering within the community itself, and where a lot of gamers are thinking where the potential is going to be for the next DLC that should go if it comes to enriching the story narrative of this game, moving the lore of this game a little bit further, and just connecting the past, the present and the future of the Lands Between and the Elden Ring just in a perfect bow to move forward in towards a brand new IPs that will be, of course, all of us are waiting with tremendous anticipations. Beside the Elden Ring, we all know there are also a lot of rumors going on of might have Insecure 2 coming out around the corner. A Bloodborne, a remake, is still something that a lot of gamers are hoping, and still hoping like myself it might come one day. Hopefully one day it will come. But all of that is still a lot of speculations. But most importantly, what you guys think, what you think is probably going to be the future of the Elden Ring itself, or even are we going to have a future of the Elden Ring, or if it's something that like Demon Souls is just going to be a standalone IP where from software it's going to rebalance an occasional aspect, make it more playable for newer gamers itself, and more accessible for newer gamers with different form of patches left and right, just to make sure that everything is balanced perfectly for PvE and PvP, and that's going to be it? Or do you really think that we are going to have a DLC, and it's probably going to be one of those ideas I gave it to you? Michaela's Egg, we're going to explore a little bit further, the Night of the Shadowing, the Black Knives, the Greater Whale and the Rise of Marika, of course, and the story of the Lands Between. Are even going to go further than that, give us a different form of endings into the game itself, and different form of options of to choose different form of endings itself, or a journey towards the Lands Between, all the aspect itself. There's still a lot of questions still unanswered in the Elden Ring, and hopefully you guys did enjoy yourself. And if you did, do not forget to smash the like button and comment down below and subscribe yourself to the channel. Give me your feedback, give me your thought back, what you think is going to be the future of the Elden Ring itself, what you anticipating and what you are hoping, of course, as a gamer, as a fan like myself of this beautiful franchise, what you wish to see for the Elden Ring and of the future of From Software. Either way, I'm the Punkcaster itself, so welcome to my channel, and welcome to another podcast and discussion within the community itself, dedicated of course to the Elden Ring. Once again, if you do like this content, do not forget to smash the like button and comment down below. If you want to know more about me, as usually I always like to mention, you can always reach me on Discord, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and all those 60 media pages you will find, of course, written on the descriptions down below. And the nicest thing about my channel, you're going to find every single link with one click button away in my YouTube page. You're going to get yourself straight to the presentive page you wish to follow, and get yourself, or get us just to know each other a little bit better. So either way, so thank you very much, and thank you for chilling with me, and I'll see you all during my live streams of the Elden Ring or any other type of games that I stream within the channel itself. Once again, see you guys next time. One love, always. Peace.